In 2016, Drake put out an album called Views, and that pissed me off. Not because of the album itself, not because of any of the music on it or anything like that, but the book that was in the album that came with all of the pictures. It was digital at the time. Once upon a time, they were physical. You remember that, depending on how old it is that you are. But anyway, digital book came with the album, and it had pictures of him in front of a mansion, big giant house with a Rolls Royce and this little husky. It had a picture of him on some balcony in what I assume to be some super nice condo in where I assume to be Toronto. It had him sitting in the back of some sort of presumably Rolls Royce with the stars on the ceiling, and basically just him around a bunch of opulent, fancy, expensive shit. And that upset me. Not at him, but at myself, because we were roughly the same age. I think he's a little bit older than me, but he had done so much more than I had done in life, and he had acquired so much more than I had acquired in life. And I was used to seeing rappers doing all kinds of fancy stuff that I couldn't do, wearing all kinds of jewelry and buying clothes that I couldn't buy, living in houses that I couldn't live in, and driving cars that I couldn't drive since I was young. But when I was younger, they were all older than me, and I didn't really care as much because this dude's 10 years older than me. Of course, he's doing far more than I am. But that was the first time that I had seen someone who was, again, roughly my age, who was so much farther ahead than I was currently, and who was living in a way, at least in my mind, that I would like to live, and being able to do things that I wanted to do, and doing something much more notable with his life. I'm sitting here selling gym memberships, and yes, I was making the most money that I had ever made in my life, but it was still not really a real amount of money. And again, that upset me. I was mad at myself for not doing more. So I decided in that moment, I think I had just turned 28 when it came out, and I had decided that by the time that I was 30, I was going to go and accomplish a whole bunch of things. Not saying I was going to be some superstar or be mega rich or anything like that, but I knew that I wanted to be much farther ahead than where it was that I was. And I had planned it all out. I owned a condo at the time. I was going to renovate my condo, and it was going to be all nice and fancy and whatnot. I knew what kind of clothes that I wanted to have, knew what kind of car that I wanted to drive. I knew a general idea of the amount of money that I wanted to be making. I didn't know specifically what it was that I was going to do to get it, but I knew that I was going to figure it out. I had decided in that moment, sitting in my car in front of the gym that I worked at, that I was going to dedicate the next 2 years of my life to becoming closer to what it was that I wanted to be and accomplishing all kinds of things. I was going to figure out what it was that I wanted to do, and I was going to do nothing but things that worked towards that. And I was going to start tomorrow, as everyone is. And it felt great in that moment, knowing that I was going to get started and doing all of these things tomorrow. And then tomorrow came, and I did nothing. I put it off until the next tomorrow, then the next tomorrow, then the next tomorrow. And before I knew it, I was 30 years old and was not closer to where it was that I wanted to be. Was I doing something different? Yes. Was I living somewhere different? Yes. Was it in the way that I had envisioned that I was going to be living? Not at all, because I didn't take any of the steps towards it. And then when I was 30, I thought the same thing. I said, by the time that I'm 35, I'm going to have made millions of dollars and do all of this stuff. And I came up with a plan for that. And I was going to dedicate myself to just that and nothing else, because I understood that I had to sacrifice for what it was that I wanted. And I was going to get started with all of that tomorrow. Not today, once again. Then the tomorrow came, and I was 2 years down the road. And I was still no closer to where it was that I wanted to be. And it was around that time that I finally decided to start working, actually truly dedicating myself towards accomplishing the things that I said that I wanted to accomplish. And I got along that path. But had I started when I was 28 years old, like I said, I would be much farther along in life than I am currently. And the thing is, When I was 28, I envisioned myself being somebody at 30. I envisioned myself being a specific person. I envisioned myself acting a specific way and doing specific things, dressing a specific way, speaking a specific way, all of that. I envisioned all of those things. And as soon as that vision came into my mind, as soon as I created the vision, that 30-year-old version of me started to exist. Just 2 years down the road from me. And every single time that I procrastinated, every single time that I made an excuse, I cut that person. And eventually, all of those cuts added up and killed him. I killed the 30-year-old version of me that I wanted to be between the time I was 28 and 30 by not doing any of the things necessary to become that person, by not taking any of the steps towards that person. And then when I was 30 and I envisioned 35-year-old me, that person came into existence. And every single day, every single time that I did not take any of the steps necessary to be him, I cut that person and wound up killing him as a whole. Every single time I procrastinated doing work, I took money out of his bank account. Every single time I didn't read something that I was supposed to read, I took knowledge out of his brain. Every single time I did something that felt good instead of something that bettered myself, I robbed him of one of his assets, whether that be physical, literal assets or personal character assets. By not doing those things, I slowly killed all of those versions of myself. Because as a whole, whether you understand it or not, the version of you that you want to be, the person who is in shape, the person who makes money, the person who has good relationships, the person who lives in that fancy house and drives the fancy car, wears the fancy clothes, or has the amazing family, or whatever it is that your goals are in life, this person, this version of you exists in the future. Down the road, whether that be a week from now, whether that be a year from now, whether that be a decade from now, whatever the case may be, this person does exist. And every single time you do not do the things necessary to help yourself become that person, you are slowly murdering him. You are murdering that future version of you, the one that you have always dreamed of and thought of being. Every single time you procrastinate or make an excuse or point the finger or indulge in the thing that you know that you shouldn't do. You kill the sober version of you whenever you take a drink or smoke or whatever. You kill the fit version of you every time you sleep in instead of going to the gym. You kill the version of you with abs every time you hit the drive-thru or order that DoorDash rather than making the food that you know that you were supposed to eat. You kill the accomplished version of you every time you choose pleasure over purpose. It's not all at once because none of the little individual things do anything. And that's why they are so harmful. But there is a thing, I don't know what it's from, concept, death by 1,000 cuts, basically, which is every single cut, all of the individual cuts don't do anything but hurt just a little bit, but none of them really truly matter. But it is the cuts all adding up that wind up doing you in, that wind up bleeding you out. And all of your decisions are those little cuts. It might seem harmless that you hit your snooze button today, and today it is. But when you hit your snooze button again tomorrow, again, in the moment, that's harmless. But down the road, it is not. These are all the little cuts that are slowly killing the best version of you and is slowly destroying the life that you dream about. Every single time. And it is very, very easy to get caught up in, well, I don't want to do this thing right now, and nothing bad will happen if I don't do this thing right now, so I'm not going to do the thing right now. If you work out already, you're not going to lose all of your muscles if you take a day off from the gym and play video games. You're not going to destroy your abs if you overeat one day. You're not going to wreck your business if you skip one day of work. You're not going to go bankrupt, none of that. You're not even going to destroy your relationship if you cancel one date. But that is the problem. The fact that none of those individual things will directly harm you or directly derail you makes it much more likely that you're going to continue doing those little individual things. The problem with the individual things is not themselves, but the mindset that it creates that shows you it's okay to do these little things over and over and over again. And while they all are all little things, eventually they add up and become one big giant thing. And all of those little things come together to destroy everything that you want to be. And they are wasting your most valuable resource, or one of your most valuable resources, which is your time. And you can never get to the time back. And you are killing those minutes, and those minutes are killing your potential. They are killing your dreams. They are killing your goals. They are killing every single thing it is that you want to do. So the point is not to think in the now. The point is to think in the later. The point is to think, who is it that I want to be? What is it that I would like to have accomplished down the road? And is this decision now going to add to that? Is it going to help that? Is it going to help future me become the future me that I want to be? Or is it going to make the future me, or diminish and take away from the future me, and just continue bringing the present me into the future? Because you don't want to be the present you in the future. The present you isn't where it is that you want to be. The future you has already accomplished those things. So you need to start thinking like that person and doing what future you would do. It doesn't matter if you're in shape right now. The question is, what would the in shape version of you? And doing what the in shape version of you would do is how you grow into the in shape version of you. It doesn't matter what you would do currently. What matters is, what would the rich version of you do? You might not have any money now, and that's fine. But you running around acting like you don't have money is just going to prevent you from ever getting money. So when you start acting like the rich version of you and doing things that the rich version of you would do, that allows you to grow into the rich version of you. Whatever it is that the you that you want to be would do is what it is that you should be doing now. Otherwise, you will be destroying that version. You will be killing that version, one decision at a time.